Hi, hello, I'm Sam Harrison and I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. Today we have a review of a science fiction book, Red Rising by Pierce Brown. My first ever reread on the channel, so I'm not a big rereader, but I decided that I would reread this book, number one, because there was a Remember December event that happened in December. Number two, because I got this physical copy from my mother-in-law for Christmas, along with actually the entire series apart from Lightbringer. So I now have all the. I mean, I can't hold them all up, but I have them. I have them all. And also, so many people in the Best Books of 2023 video compilation I put together said that Lightbringer or a Red Rising book was their number one. I think it was more. No, it was way more than 10%. It was almost a quarter of everyone. And I think even Christopher Navo said that he would have placed it in his top as his number one, but he wanted to highlight something less people may have read. So that's pretty clear that this series is a real banger and is a real one to read. In 2017, I read this book, and I can't remember why I read it, because I was not regularly reading at the time. But I just decided on a whim to read it, and I really enjoyed it. And when I started reading Golden Sun, I could not get into it at all. And I don't know if that is the fact that I was not a big reader at the time, so trying to read two books back to back probably wasn't really in my wheelhouse. But I don't know why I couldn't get into it, which is weird because everyone says Golden Sun is their favourite in the Red Rising series. However, Red Rising, I had rated it previously as a 3-star book. My reread, I upgraded this to a 4-star book. So, what changed? First, I think I got a much stronger grasp on the world building this time round. I think that the world building of the society, you know, the balance between the golds, the reds, the greys, the pinks, the greens, the blues, all of it was really, really interesting to me this time around. I absolutely loved the first section of the book when you're on Mars with Darrow and Io, and kind of the emotional, the kind of emotional reveals and the bond and the love between the two characters. I've just realised I haven't told you. This is a non-spoiler review. I've just told you that Darrow is in love in chapter 1, but you'll see that when you read the book. So, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to first talk about the characters. We're going to talk about the plot. We're going to talk about world building, and we're going to talk about anticipation for the sequels. So, characters-wise, we have a few characters. This book is from the first-person perspective, so you're seeing everything through Darrow's eyes. And I feel like, realistically, the only major character that gets a lot of time is Darrow. You get a lot of... you get to know a few characters that Darrow has known for a long time that you don't actually spend much time with on screen, or on page. So, for example, Io and his uncle Nero, you don't tend to spend much time with them, but they are very important to the story, so they're referenced a lot. And also, you kind of learn about the society through their relationships. But let's just talk about Darrow. So, Darrow's a really interesting character because he almost feels like a YA protagonist in an adult fiction book. So, what the story actually kind of feels YA again towards the end. So, maybe this just feels like a YA book written for adults. That's one of the things that you get from Philip Pullman's Dark Materials series. So that's not actually a series of books I have read, but one of the big things that my friends say is that, you know, these are books that are serious books that are written that adults and children can enjoy. And while I don't think a child should read Red Rising, it's got some pretty heavy themes. and some quite dark moments, I would say that both a young adult and an adult could enjoy this book. And I think that Darrow is a lot of the reason why. So he's very extreme in his emotions, which is one thing that I usually see from YA protagonists. So, the protagonist will cry, they will scream, and they'll fly into a rage. And Darrow does do all of those things in a way that people don't tend to in more adult fiction. But this is just such an interesting character study. The shift in Darrow's personality that he undergoes when you go from kind of Act 1 into the rest of the book is very interesting. So he keeps a lot of what makes him him, but he also takes on a lot of what you see with the Golds. So I'll give you the rough outline of the book that is on the back of the book here, which is that Darrow is a Red, and he is essentially a slave in a mining colony on Mars. He's born underground. He's never seen the sky, and the society is run by an upper class of humans called Golds. And Golds are taller, they're stronger, they're smarter, but the Reds are being lied to. So they don't know that they think their sacrifice is so that humanity can escape Earth, a planet which is dying. But they don't find. Darrow finds out through certain means that the society has escaped Earth already. There are hundreds of colonies throughout the solar system, and Mars, in fact, is fully terraformed and livable. And that's why they're not allowed out of the caves onto the surface, is that it's a fully livable planet now. So Darrow, after a pretty traumatic event in his life, is recruited by a group of freedom fighters who are fighting to destroy the rule of the Golds. And what they do is they genetically and kind of surgically alter Darrow so that he can pass himself off as a Gold. And he is then sent to the Golds military academy for the kind of upper crust of their citizenry, a place called the Institute. And so he has to kind of infiltrate the Golds to fake that he is a Gold, with the end goal for him and for the resistance fighters that have kind of given him all of this power and all of these surgeries and stuff. The end result is hopefully that he takes a high enough position in Gold society that he is able to kind of take it down from within. And that always remains Darrow's goal throughout this book. However, he spends a lot of time with Golds, and I think that you get this from a lot of books. But so it's something that I really enjoy, which is, in fact, Sanderson does this in the Skyward books. So you spend time with the enemy, and you realise that they're not one homogenous evil mass. That there are Golds that he likes. There are Golds that he befriends. There are Golds that, he loves. And the interesting relationships that he has there are kind of the real backbone of the book, I think. And I think that they're the reason why the book succeeds, is the kind of even-handedness with which Pierce Brown covers all the characters. So, there are Reds that are awful. There are Golds that are amazing. It's not just one note, black and white. And speaking of Golds that are amazing, we come across a couple of Gold. In fact, I think the three characters that I hooked on to the most: Severo, Mustang, and Cassius. So Cassius has a pretty strong reason to hate Darrow, but does not find it out until kind of the halfway point of the book, or further into the book. And the relationship that builds on the back of Darrow's guilt is really, really interesting, because at multiple points I think Darrow knows that he's doing the wrong thing, but he's doing it because he feels guilty. And then on top of that, we have his relationship with his kind of friendship with Severo, who is kind of the bottom of the ladder. He's the last one to get picked. They didn't even want to pick him, but one of the proctors told them that he should be picked for the house. He's such an interesting character, and I'm hoping we get to see a lot more of him as time goes on. And he's very different to the rest of the Golds. He's not a beautiful golden god. He's a not particularly good looking person. He's short. He's from a family of low status, and he's almost he's what Darrow sometimes refers to. He says, "Oh, he's basically the Reds of the Golds." He's the lowest rung of Gold society, and so he loses a lot of the privilege that he gets by being a Gold. And then we also have Mustang, who is a kind of one-time enemy, sometime ally. She almost gives me like Catwoman vibes, if that makes sense. 1 second. So yeah, Mustang almost gives us like Catwoman vibes in that she's kind of an ally and an enemy, but there's like some flirtation going on there. Definitely something, again, another character that I want to see more of. And I really like the relationship that grows between her and Darrow. It feels very human and honest. And I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. World building wise, I actually have already kind of covered this one. And I've kind of covered plot as well. But world building was something that I found was really well done. I liked a lot of the details that I don't think I really caught before in my initial read. This one, possibly because I did it quite quickly. But if you say, for example, I don't know what I didn't miss last time. I just don't know why this didn't hit me this way last time. Maybe it's the hype for the potential of the series is a big thing for me, because I do have all of the rest of them, so I can just go straight into it. And the things that people are saying about Lightbringer and how good it is, I'm definitely excited to keep going. Speaking of keeping going, I have Golden Sun here. I may read it in January. I don't yet know, because I am subscribed to a mystery book box thing from Page and Wick, and if that arrives in January, I will be reading that in January. But if not, then I'll be reading Golden Sun. I'm very excited to get to that. And one final thing I wanted to say about Red Rising actually also was the audiobook. So I loved the audiobook for this one. And I think it's very similar to my feelings on the Skyward series, where I think listening to the audiobook may have elevated it a little as well. So the audiobook narrator is fantastic, very easy to follow, possibly due to the first-person nature, to be fair. But I really enjoyed that audiobook experience. I actually finished the book on audio, whereas normally I try and listen to the last few pages read the last few pages, but I ended up listening to this one while cooking dinner. And I also watched the Tutor Ramble video review of it straight afterwards, and that was pretty good. Anyway, thanks so much for watching this review. If you have read Red Rising, if you've read Red Rising, then drop a comment down below and tell me what you thought of it. Please no future spoilers for future books in the series, because I don't know when I'll be able to get to them, although I will get to them. I'm in no rush as the final book doesn't come out this year, but I'm definitely excited to read more. If you've read this, let me know. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you would like to see more Red Rising content, more science fiction book reviews, I'll be talking about Empire of Silence from Christopher Rocchio and some independent sci-fi books. then please do stick around, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you soon.